Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for sure. And it's They Made What into a Movie. Happy Halloween. We are returning to the world, the foggy world of Silent Hill. Last year Halloween, we covered the original Silent Hill movie. Now we're covering its sequel, Silent Hill Revelation, or Silent Hill Revelation 3D. I will, throughout this, be pointing out every point that I noticed was supposed to be 3D. I got nerdy about it. I was like, that was supposed to be 3D. That was supposed to be it. I probably missed some, but some were quite obvious. So I kind of took it upon myself to do that. Of course, didn't actually watch it in 3D. Just watched a normal version of it. But you can spot it because normally something comes towards the screen like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's a 2012 psychological horror film written and directed by M.J. Bassett and the sequel to Silent Hill, the 2006 movie. So coming 6 years later, when nobody, including Konami, gave a shit about Silent Hill anymore. And you're like, oh yeah, let's do a sequel.
I know.
Who the fuck was asking for a sequel? Okay, so I'm going to be straight up about this from the start. I think this is one of the worst movies overall I've ever seen in my life. I hate this film. I hate it as a video game movie adaptation. I hate it as a movie overall. I think the performances fucking stink for most of the characters and actors. I think it's dumb. I think it's ugly. I think it's silly. I think its attempt to copy Silent Hill 3 is hilariously poor considering how much it changes. But I also think it does a terrible job of being a sequel to the original movie, getting so much wrong, changing the lore, and just confusing itself. I think it looks like a fucking cartoon at times. It's boring. It's not interesting. The best thing it's got going for it is that it's got gore, but even that feels fake as fuck. This movie stinks like horseshit. I hate it. And this is my second time watching it. And if I have to watch this movie ever again, I am going to kill someone. I will kill them all. I fucking hate this film.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, all I can really say is that I honestly didn't think I could find anything on level or worse than Alone in the Dark. And this one here is the first time I've ever seen this film. And my God, an hour and 45 minutes or whatever it was of crap.
Right, I'm just going to put this out here right now and say this quite clearly. We're not doing that. I'm not doing a whole, is this worse than Alone in the Dark?
Yeah.
This is, they're both equally shit.
Yeah.
They're on the same low fucking level. I'm not going which is worse, which would you rather watch again? I'm not watching neither. It's as simple as that. I'm not doing like that, because immediately in my head I'm like, wait, is it worse?
And then I try and compare.
And I'm like, no, they're just equally shit movies. So yeah, this is not going to be a happy review. This is not going to be a happy talk through. I'm going to rant, I'm going to rave, I'm going to swear. I'm going to lose my voice in annoyance at it. I'll try and keep it as tight as possible. It is, of course, based off the survival horror video game Silent Hill 3 by Konami. So yeah, like the games, ignore Silent Hill 2. Just go to Silent Hill 3, which of course was a direct sequel to the original Silent Hill game. Now, interestingly, this could have been better. This should have been better.
Should have been,
because talks for a Silent Hill sequel began in December 2006, shortly after the original movie released, with Christopher Gaines returning to direct and Roger Avary writing a script for the project. So everything seemed ready. However, Gaines ended up dropping out of directing and Avary was imprisoned for vehicular manslaughter. Gloss over that bit. Found that and I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And the project then entered into a complicated production.
Complicated.
Yeah. Later in early 2010, Bassett was hired to direct and write the film, replacing Gaines and Avary. It was made on an estimated $20 million budget. Where did you spend it on drugs? Did you all just take drugs for?
Was that bloody $18 million for Sean Bean?
No, that behave, man. Jesus, he wasn't. He wasn't earning that much. It was $18 million on drugs, $2 million on fucking the film. The film, though, grossed over $560 million worldwide.
How?
So it made more than almost triple its budget back, which may not have been what the studio saw successful, but was successful. Let's be serious here. For the same reason why I watched it when I first heard about it. I wanted to see a Silent Hill sequel.
You have to watch it,
Yeah, I wanted to see a Silent Hill sequel. And, unsurprisingly, most people hate this movie.
That's unbelievable, though, man. Seriously.
Cast. So, the start. Adelaide Clemens as Sharon De Silva / Heather Mason. I'll explain the names when we get into it. Kit Harington. Yes. Kit Harington. Pre-Game of Thrones, or very early in Game of Thrones, as Vincent Smith. Sean Bean, the famous Sean Bean, as Harry Mason, Christopher De Silva, Carrie Ann Moss as Claudia Wolfe, Lise Keeling as the missionary, Malcolm McDowell as Leonard Wolfe, Martin Donovan as Douglas Cartlin, Deborah Kara Unger as Dahlia Gillespie, also reprising her role for all of a minute. Radha Mitchell as Rose De Silva, also reprising her role for all of a minute. Heather Marks as Suki, Roberto Campanello as Pyramid Head, Erin Pitt as young Alessa Gillespie, and Peter Outbridge as Travis Grady. I mention him purely because he will come in at the end of it. Travis Grady.
Is he the guy in the truck? That bit there, I was like, what the I screamed at it. I was like, no, that does not happen in real life.
Well, I will go on to explain perhaps something else about it that you may not know. So, here we go. And I'm going to be honest, I saw the runtime, knew I had to do notes for it, and thought, I've been dreading this. I've been dreading this, because another thing I remember about this film is that it is obsessed with telling you what is going on, rather than showing you what is going on. But also, it confuses itself, because it's like, let's add this other stuff. So I knew all my fingers were going to be fucking tired with this one. We begin seeing a young woman running in slow motion away from something. This is Sharon, and she runs inside the world's most threatening fairground. I was like, oh, you know what? Oh my god. I'll get to it in a minute. Because I was always going to start talking about it immediately, but I'll wait until I get to the next part. She's running in slow motion, but we see her pursuers are walking normally, dressed in black cloaks that hide their face. Sharon manages to hide behind a stall next to a big Robbie the Rabbit. It's all super dark, and this film's lack of subtlety, highlighted by the fish prizes and the fish inside the bowls all being dead. And this has just me going immediately, oh my god. Do you remember Silent Hill? Subtle was important. Yep. You had to feel like the world was real. Yes. The world was real and twisted by this darkness. This feels like a fucking set. It feels like a show. Starting from the carnival, it's like, oh, that's not a real carnival. Look how fucking terrifying that looks. Like, you're already getting it wrong, and it's like, look, everything's dead in here. The fish are floating in the bowls. How creepy. Oh!
It was too much too far, literally, the start of the film.
Yep. Also, like, I'm going to mention it here, but this film is obsessed with Robbie the Rabbit. It was a small part of Silent Hill 3. A small thing in Silent Hill 3. Yet here it's like a fucking main character. It's all quiet, except for the sound of her breathing. But a sudden movement of the rabbit scares her into running away. Jump scare! Yep. She hides amongst the carousel as the cloaked figures arrive and surround it. She's then startled by the operator of the carousel in the centre, which is Pyramid Head. The fuck? It's alright. He then starts to ride up, being connected by chains, and as it picks up speed, she sees some of the figures are humans bound in pain. You ever seen Hellraiser? But without the kind of uber gore, This is what this shit is.
Pretty much,
It's just people bound and going, lots of that. Terrible. She's then confronted by herself, but in her goth phase. So this made me laugh, because I was like, she just looks like she woke up and was like, oh, Dad, I hate you. I'm going to start wearing goth paper. You know, South Park goths. That's what it reminds me of. Her goth self, because that's all I'm referring to this one is, her goth self says that she can't defeat her and to not go to Silent Hill. She then uses her hand to set the gathered figures on fire, the circle of fire coming inward and setting Sharon on fire.
Terrible.
This is all within the first 3 minutes of the movie. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Way too much, man.
Calm down.
At least maybe have a scene before that, like where she's like, where she's going to school or something, and then maybe she has a vision or something.
Just too much, too fast. It's too full on. It's too over the top. Because what you've done at the start is by making it so over the top, you can't go back to being subtle. No. Because I've just seen this insane fucking merry-go-round, fire, burning, fucking rabbits, Pyramid Head going, I am the carousel operator. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much.
I watched this literally yesterday, and I thought I'd actually missed a scene.
Oh, right.
I clicked and I thought, that was
you've gone so fast into this.
Yeah.
But of course, it's just a dream as she wakes up screaming in bed, and her father, Sean Bean, Chris, comes in to comfort her and tells her that it's just a dream. He remarks that this always happens when they move and the dreams will fade. Thank you for saying that exact line right there and then. She claims she's being called, and he demands she promised not to listen and not ever go there. Yeah.
Oh, promise not to listen.
Yeah. He's then stabbed in the back with a blade. 3D. Here we go. These are the moments. Yeah. 3D. Before Sharon wakes up again, and it was a dream within a dream. And this is another thing I hate what films do. Dream within a dream. Yeah. It's so lazy. And that's not really how dreams work. No. It really isn't. My favourite dream within a dream, I'm going to break the immersion and talk about The Wicker Man. Have you ever seen the original Wicker Man from the 70s?
No.
Great movie, great movie. Have you ever seen the Wicker Man remake with Nicolas Cage?
Yes, I've seen the remake. Yeah.
Right, so I think that is probably up there as the worst horror movie I've ever seen in my life. I know a lot of people love it, but I think it's horrendous. I hate it. I hate it. And I will remember parts that are burned in my brain. Burnt. Things that people find funny, I thought were stupid. Yeah. Nicolas Cage dressed up in a bear suit and drop kicking ladies, screaming at children. And stuff like that. The bees, not the fucking bees. All this stuff. But my favourite part from that, favourite terrible moment that I come back to the dream within the dream, is he dreams that a girl is floating underneath underneath the pier.
Yep.
He rescues her and stuff like that, and she opens her eyes, she's scared. He then has a second part of that dream, I think, where he's holding her and she opens her eyes again.
Yep.
I am convinced that Nicolas Cage broke character here because his reaction to that dream within a dream is to go, God damn it! And I'm just like, that is real. That's a man that's just frustrated with what he's been told to do.
The shit script, yeah.
It's just, that's what I always come to with dreams within a dream. Anyway, she's awake properly now. Oh, is she?
Oh, she
is. And she writes something. The next morning she's having breakfast with Chris, Pop-Tarts, healthy breakfast. And it's implied that they're on the run as they discussed her new name. She is now Heather, and he is now Harry. Because video games.
Yep.
Video games. You ever played them?
Of course, got to drop a little hints.
It's the day before her birthday, so he gives her a present. And it's here when I'd forgotten. Somehow I'd forgotten that Sean Bean does an American accent.
Oh, yeah.
I had forgotten they gave him an American accent. Instead of just being like, you know what, just be Northern.
Yep.
Nobody cares. Nope. Just do you. You give an American, and here, happy birthday. And it's just like, no, you suck. You're such a good actor, but you're asking too much of you here.
I had the same thing with Kid.
Oh, well, but we are going to get to that in a bit.
It shocked me when he spoke. I was like, no.
That fucking, the accent on Sean Bean, it's terrible. Kit Harington is something else. The present is the white sleeveless jacket that she was wearing in her dream, but it's also the look she has from the game. She plays it off, telling how much she loves it. They have good chemistry as father-daughter.
Yeah.
Am I being weird by thinking she is probably 17, 18?
Yeah.
Sitting on his lap?
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, it's a bit odd.
It's also shown that she dyes her hair blonde, and Harry suggests that this new home would be good for them, but she's not convinced. She's going to school, and they briefly talk about the rules. They've done this a few times, it seems, and she says goodbye and goes to school. After, we see Harry in her room looking at her notepad, seeing that she wrote Silent Hill. He tears it out, pulls out a box from his room, one with the same symbol of the Silent Hill 3 save symbol. Imprinted on it. Inside, he's been collecting all of Heather's stuff on Silent Hill and adds the latest bit to it. Where did you get that box, you reckon? That box with the Silent Hill symbol on it.
Found it in the first one.
When? We saw the first film.
In his trunk. Okay. It appeared to me in a dream.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, that one I like. We then see him tidying up, putting a picture of him, Sharon and Rose on the mantle. He talks out loud to Rose, saying that it's been hard since you brought Sharon back. Because, yes, we're now about to touch upon the elephant in the room.
Yes.
Wait, this isn't how the first film ended.
No.
The first film obviously ended with Sharon and Rose being trapped within the alternative reality of fog. And Chris being on the other side and them not being able to interact. And now we start this film and Sharon/Heather is just back. Now we're going to get the answer. And guess what? It is really shit. And really lazy. He then hears Rose's voice as we flash back to a memory of him in their old house. Yep. That apartment is. Which, if you were to watch his movies back to back, is clearly a different house. But hey, Rose appears in a mirror. How? She tells him that he has to protect Sharon, and when he queries why she couldn't get back through, she says that she found a seal that was broken and only one could go through, so she chose Sharon. And I was like, you know what? You've written and gone, You can picture this fast spent at scene of this writer or writers 24 hours. Should we just say it was a seal that was broken? All right. There we go. It was that. Rose then goes on to say that they will come looking for Sharon as they need her. Rose makes Chris/Harry swear he'll protect them out what before she disappears completely. Behind him, Sharon is there suddenly and calls for him. And he finds her on a couch, played by a completely different actress. Obviously, 6 years later, you couldn't use the same actress. There was no way around it. I don't blame the film for that.
Nope.
And she doesn't remember anything. He goes with a lie that she said that she was in an accident and that Rose died in the accident. I'm like, okay, yeah.
That's fair enough. I'll go with that,
Yeah. And as he hugs her, we see her drop a seal on the floor. So exit Rose, never seen in this movie again, and left scratching your fucking head going, oh, that's so bad. It's really shit. It's really fucking shit. It's because problem is, they couldn't go with the game ending of where Harry found the baby.
Yeah.
They couldn't do that because the film didn't do that. They fucking couldn't tie it in.
Yeah, but that's their own fucking fault, though.
Yes, it's their own fault.
It's so simple to do that.
You know what would have been more sensible? Do what the games have done since aside from the early ones. Tell its own story with Silent Hill as the backdrop. Instead, you wanted to make a fucking sequel based off Silent Hill 3, but because the film had fucked up the lore of the games, you would then fuck. It's just a mess.
I personally think that to make a movie of Silent Hill would have been quite easy, I think. You don't think so?
It's too ethereal. It's too much up to your own mind to make.
Yeah, of course.
You tell me here right now. Tell me some rules of the Silent Hill world that you know are 100% definitive based off the games you've played that apply to everything. There are none. This is not Resident Evil.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to apply certain rules and they purposely did that because by making it ambiguous and making it about Silent Hill's state of mind, what a person's going through and so on, and what they've done in their life, you allow you to shape the world and never overcomplicate things. It doesn't translate well into a movie where you need boundaries. You need boundaries. And a good example of that is how in Silent Hill 1, the movie, you have the Silent Hill thing of broken ground, can't cross the thing.
Yeah.
None of that exists in this film. People walk out of the town.
That's ridiculous.
So I mean, it's too confused. Yeah. And that could work if we were doing it on the basis of that's their reality.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Anyway, back to the film. Back to Heather, who's arriving at the school bus. The city looks like a bit of a dump. And a hobo gets her attention, and when she sees his face, it's kind of monstrous. They go for this constant Hellraiser thing, where everyone's got fucked up faces and stuff like that. It always looks so fake, though. It always looks so plastic.
Horrible, yeah.
Really is. She backs onto the traffic, but isn't hurt, and we see the hobo actually has a normal face. Heather then backs into a different man who asks if she's okay. Before asking if they've met, insisting that they have, and then asking her name. He is really full on here, and rightfully she runs off. In class, she's welcomed by the teacher and asked to introduce herself. Of course, the class bitch throws out an insult. You're like, oh!
And the teacher just sits there and allows it.
Yeah, because all the kids are like, hey, oh, you're so cool. Bet it's Brittany or something. Yeah. Go on, Brittany. Heather, though, isn't taking no shit and declares that she's not interested in being anyone's friend and that she'll be gone before anyone learns anything about her. The next new student is introduced, one that watched Heather with interest, Vincent Cooper. He makes a joke about not being able to follow Heather's speech. And I was like, watch out. That's it. The most horrifying thing in the movie begins from here.
Yep.
Kit Harington's accent. That's it. If you want to feel scared, if you want to sit there going, I can't watch, I can't listen, just listen to Kit Harington attempt to do an American accent. And it's not his fault. He was given an impossible task.
Yes.
And again, I keep coming back to this. Why could he not just have a northern accent? Why could he not have been, this is Vincent Cooper. He comes from England.
No, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's bad. Look, we're not understating it. It is fucking bad. Okay. After class, Heather gets distracted and finds herself alone in the halls as the lights begin to flicker. She then starts to hear noises and passes the class, and it replays the children screaming Burn the Witch scene from the first film at a lesser. Another one has a group of kids turning to stare at her creepily. Proper Children of the Corn vibes. Heather then hears noises in the distance and starts to walk down the hall, but the lights go out. When they come back on, the school is transformed into the Silent Hill Hell World, if you want. Yeah. I'm going to call it Hell World.
Hell, yeah.
One of those faceless spitters that an approach from the first film, from the game, the one that are armorless and kind of spit out the chest. Heather backs up on Vincent, which snaps her out of this vision. He asks if she's okay, and he claims to be lost. Further along, he asks if she wants to go get a coffee later, but she turns him down. And I know I'm going to keep doing this, but I just wrote, his accent's so bad. His accent's making me cry.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
It's too much talking from him. Outside school, Heather sees the man from earlier watching her, so she goes back inside. When we get to what his job is, he is really bad at his job.
He's really bad.
Really bad at his job. Vincent sees this. Heather calls Harry and he gives her instructions to meet him at the mall, particularly the Happy Burger place. Don't mind this.
Nope.
This is all directly into the game. All directly into the game. To a degree.
Yes.
To go into the mall part, I mean. While he's on the phone to her, though, he sees his door handle being tried. So he says goodbye and then sort of goes out back thinking that somebody's coming to get him.
This scene pissed me so off.
As he opens the back door, a black shadow flashes across the screen and see you at the end of the movie, Sean Bean.
It just pisses me off, man. It's like if someone's opening the door, you don't just burst at your back door. You look first, man, for God's sake.
Yeah, you might
Look
presume
first,
someone's
man.
going to be coming around the back as well.
Exactly, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, considering he's done this a lot, apparently.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
You've been running for
Years.
to Heather. You've been moving every school every few weeks.
Yeah.
So you should be prepared for this.
Well, I think it's more like months sometimes. Depends on
Yeah.
if they get caught or they get found. Later in the mall, Harry's not coming and Heather is getting nervous. As she watches some kids having a birthday party, one that shares her name, her visions begin and she sees a balloon now says happy birthday, Alyssa. She then sees the kids and some other mall eaters are feasting on flesh and innards. It's a cool item because it's quite nasty looking.
I thought it was actually quite not scary, but like intense.
Intense, yeah, because it's done in a kind of like disorientated, flashy way. She then sees the man who's been following her coming up the escalator. She gets up the run, but her vision hasn't ended and she's startled by the horror she sees in front of her. All while the man calls her Sharon from afar. He's calling Sharon, wait, Sharon. She runs into the kitchen area and comes across a scene from Hellraiser, directly from Hellraiser, that looks really good though.
Yep.
Like a chef that's cutting strips of flesh of a body and it's being cooked up.
Yeah.
Didn't mind it, but it is like, is that Silent Hill or is that just scary imagery for Hellraiser?
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? She screams and heads downstairs. She tries calling her dad, but gets only static. Game reference. The man is right behind her, though, and she heads into the basement, picking up a weapon. The man reveals now that his name is Douglas, and he's a private investigator. You are shit at your job. Do you know what I mean?
She spotted you every single time.
Standing outside the school watching like a right creepy, in a trench coat as well. Like, you are bad at your job. And then when he does follow to the mall, just chasing after her and calling her name.
I know.
Like, you're bad at your job. I thought you were supposed to be able to sneak around.
Yep.
He says that he was paid to find her and he knows who she is. He then reveals he's trying to help her, though, as he has since found out who he is actually working for. The Order of Valtiel. And they are after Sharon. Douglas tells her that the Order know where she is and that they're coming for her. Sharon now manages to back into a cargo lift, closing the gate behind her. Douglas claims that her father has been lying to her and reveals that she was trapped inside Silent Hill. He tells her to ask her dad, but behind him something drops down. He turns around and gets his fingers cut off by some sort of beastie. 3D! So I'm going to, you explain this creature because I think you summed it up better than I did when we were talking off screen. This creature. This is the monster at the end of the film, the same one.
Okay, to me, it was a bloody Cenobite. Mm-hmm. It's literally, and specifically, the DJ guy, not the DJ guy, the one playing the
DJ one?
Yeah.
The CD guy?
Hellraiser 3, yeah.
Right.
Hellraiser 3, yeah.
Yeah, because it's got kind of like blades in its head
yep.
and bladed arms and big engorged teeth. But Cenobite, you describe it as a Cenobite. And I know we're going to keep doing Hellraiser, but this film borrows a lot from the Hellraiser franchise.
I tell you what I didn't understand when I was watching it. He said that he was hired by the Order.
Yep.
Now, obviously, my law, Silent Hill, is that no one can leave the town.
Yep.
So the Order left the town, called up private detective. Oh, hello, we're going to give you money to find this girl.
I'm trying to remember how they do it in the game.
Exactly.
It's a similar thing in the game as he's hired to find her. But I think it's because the Order also exists outside Silent Hill. That kind of aspect more than anything else. To be honest, I didn't really give a shit about this part.
No,
I didn't care about the whole Order. The name made me laugh because later on as well, someone will say it differently.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I wrote it, because I was like, how do you spell that? So I wrote it in a way that meant I pronounced it as Valteal. Yeah. And then later on, I think it's Sharon / Heather who says it in a different way.
Yeah,
Valatile or something like that. And it's like, okay, did they just get it wrong themselves? Which made me laugh. Anyway, Douglas falls backward. Sharon opens the gate at the exact point and he falls in screaming. The creature tries to smash in, but Sharon sends the lift down. She demands to know who she is from Douglas, but the creature pursues, jumping down from above, using its bladed arms to try and cut through. The lift then comes to a stop, and the creature disappears. As they get out of the lift, Douglas is grabbed by the creature and dragged upwards. And if you haven't already had enough changes from the game, there's another one. Douglas does not die in the game here. Douglas goes with her to Silent Hill.
Yep.
In fact, he drives her there. So, there you go. But Douglas is out of the movie now. Get in the bin. Never be seen again. Don't even see like a cool, like gory scene of death.
No.
She has run, Heather / Sharon. I'm not going to keep doing that, so I'm just going to call her Sharon from this point onward. She ends up in some sort of deep basement area, and the lights begin to go off behind her. She runs, eventually finding a storage room to hide in. Someone coming in freaks her out, and she runs back out, but it's just a janitor. Apparently things are back to normal now. She eventually finds her way outside and runs straight into a police cordon, that one that she's inside. The police grab her and decide to move her away as they wheel out Douglas's body. Don't know if she came out that way into the cordon. Don't know if you just be like, move her and be like, hey, where'd you come from? Maybe ask a few questions. You might know some details about what occurred. And in what I consider maybe one of my favourite, dumb, hilariously bad moments of the movie, in full view of a gathered crowd, and Sharon, a detective starts going through this guy's wallet while the body's there in front of everyone, loudly identifying him and what he has in his wallet, which includes the Heather Sharon name and a modern photo of her. Yep. He might as well have gone, this guy's Douglas. Anybody know him? Yep. This girl, anybody know her? Is that her? Yep. Oh, okay, miss. You know, it's so bad.
I mean, for me, what confused me is like, the police got there extremely fast. They were already had the body on a stretcher. It's like, how much time elapsed?
I was happy enough to believe that time for Heather was different where she was.
That's what I was thinking. It must have been
I was happy enough to go with that more than anything else. Anyway, Sharon is hidden amongst the crowd though and is about to leave when Vincent taps on his shoulder. Isn't it weird how he just keeps appearing at most convenient times? Almost like he's a villain. But here's the problem here. If you know the game, you know Vincent is involved heavily. Yep. Alright, admittedly, the character is off the fucking rails already, but you know who he is. Yep. You know what would have been smarter? Call him something different. And then when she does find out the truth about him, he reveals his actual name is Vincent. Yes. And you'd be like, it still would make no sense, but it would at least stop me going, that's Vincent from the game. She walks off. Vincent pursues. He tries to get her to talk to him. She calls her dad again, but gets only his voicemail this time. Sorry, Chris here. I'm currently tied up. Vincent then gives her a coat as she is freezing, and across the road she has hazy visions of figures, but Vincent doesn't see anything. We will come back to that as another infuriating point of this film. On the bus, he starts to try and dig into her past, but she blows it off. She asks him if he thinks dreams and reality can be the same thing. Rightfully, he gets a little weirded out here and claims that he doesn't think about it. He says his life is complicated enough, but does suggest that she talked to his grandfather as that sort of thinking drove him insane.
I mean, again, this is me looking into it into a shit film, but you've only you know this guy for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and like now you have to talk about your dreams and your.
Well, his reaction is the same though. I like it because she asked the question, and he's like, start with the heavy stuff. Don't we talk about favourite band and stuff like that? He kind of.
He does say,
Yeah, I did like that. However, they don't follow up with this part where he starts to describe his grandfather as being locked up in a sanatorium in Vincent's hometown. And his lack of care for his grandfather is puzzling, as he calls him Old Man Leonard. And I don't know if you'd speak about your grandfather that way, particularly if he's locked up in a sanitarium. But I got annoyed by Heather / Sharon. Oh, where's your hometown? When he says, my hometown, you know, where is that? Yep. He's not going to go, Silent Hill, is he? No. But, he might have been something. He says that Leonard believes there are no such things as dreams, just endless realities that are on top of each other, and some people can see into other realities. And I was like, don't you fucking dare do that! You cheeky. I don't mind endless realities on top of each other. That gives a lot of explanation. But don't give me the whole people can see.
right.
That's so lazy. That is you getting around so many elements.
Exactly,
explaining things that later on, rather than me going, how is that possible? She can just do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vincent says that his mother had him locked up and she can be intimidating. As Sharon ponders the dream reality theory, a disturbed man on the bus pulls out a Robbie the Rabbit teddy. And that's what I'm talking about. We get it!
Yep.
It's not that clever. It wasn't even that impactful in the game.
No.
It just became an image thing more than anything because, hey, big bunny rabbit with bloody mouth looks creepy.
Yeah, that's of course.
The bus pulls over and Heather and Vincent get off, still talking about realities. I was like, shut the fuck up about realities. Shut up about realities. I want to hear, talk about your favourite band.
Yeah.
They're so fucking boring, it'll be the Arctic Monkeys and things like that. You know it will be. He then starts to flirt, calling her pretty, and thankfully she does laugh because it's a bad pickup line.
Yeah, definitely.
She leaves him in the street and warns him off again, but he is persistent. Inside, she finds her dad gone, and the words "Come to Silent Hill" written on the wall in red paint. Chris isn't home, which of course is a major change from the game, as she actually comes home in the game and finds her father dead, alongside the message that his body was holding. So that's the major change here. You're obviously thinking, well, the change is because something more important will happen later on. We'll get to that.
Yes.
It won't. Summoner tries to open the door, and outside we hear Vincent claim to have heard her scream and has come to help. The only way you heard her scream was if you stood around afterwards, you creepy bastard.
Or literally followed her to her house and stood outside her door.
Because I'd say, oh, across the road you might hear someone scream. But what, we weren't heading home yourself?
Exactly. So
She lets him inside and shows him what is inside. He tells her to call the police, but she refuses. She points out she knows the symbol from her dreams before revealing the Silent Hill box to Vincent, which includes a letter from her father and the seal she had as a kid. She tells him that it's one half and the other side of it is missing. Lastly, she gets a gun out as the police arrive at the door. No, I'm okay with this. They tracked her. It's fine. Vincent is concerned about what he's getting into as the police officers from the crime scene kick in the door. They see the Silent Hill message on the wall and link that Sharon might be responsible for Douglas's death. No, it makes sense. The photo. They would have tracked that, gone back to the station, worked out who she was, found somebody who knew she was, gone to her address, come in.
How much time is the lap, man? So, I mean,
There's a couple of hours. I reckon a couple of hours. Someone in that crowd would have known Sharon.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Because there were kids there from the school.
A warrant, I suppose, but a murder warrant.
I don't think.
Yeah, I suppose.
She didn't answer, so it's not like she answered and said you can't come in.
Yeah, true.
Plus, murder suspect, different story.
Yeah,
I imagine more than it. I don't think this can be complained about because, as well, she would have probable cause because they would have found out who Douglas was.
Yep.
And think about it. It sounds like she killed him because he was following her.
Actually, left the scene too.
Yeah,
so.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sharon and Vincent have left and are driving out of town. She now takes the time to read the letter she found from her father. It's a message from Dad, who had prepared for this eventuality, and in the letter he reveals who she really is. He asks her not to go to Silent Hill and read the research that he has collected on her and Silent Hill over the years. Sure, why not? I just don't want to read it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to, because this film decides we need to follow along with this. They've been in the road for some time now and recant some of the research she's read up on. Stuff that completely changes the lore and the events of the first film. Now we're all in on this order of Valtiel stuff, who were waiting for a child to be born so it could be a vessel for their god. What? And here's the thing, is that has more in keeping with the game's story.
Yes.
But makes a mess of the lore of the first film.
Yep.
She then reads on, and it seems as though Chris decided to write down the story of the first film too. How handy! They've been driving all night. It seems as though they're planning to go to Silent Hill after all. What annoyed me was I didn't know where they were going here. I had to presume they were going to Silent Hill. Because at no point did they say, we're going to go to Silent Hill.
It doesn't tell you at all.
Eventually they will when he starts to talk her out of it. But I was like, I presume you're going to Silent Hill, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're just trying to get out of town.
Yep.
Vincent sees a sign for a motel and demands that they stop to rest. They get a room, and once inside, Vincent tries to talk her out of going to Silent Hill. Here we are. He says that he suspects they took her father to make her come back. She says that she has no choice, but he says he hopes nothing bad will happen to her. They hug, and we cut to Sharon asleep and dreaming of young demonic Alessa walking down the streets of Silent Hill, consuming all. And I'd forgotten, so I wrote these words. I guess this is what happened after the church bit in the film.
Yes.
So that's what happened. She was free. She went about consuming the town. Right?
That's what you think.
The film is going to fuck that up itself as well.
Yep.
Sharon wakes up and sees Vincent is already awake. Once again, he says that he can't go and she needs to trust him. In anger, he then reveals their big secret. Mind blowing. He's a child of the order. Why is he going to say it so weird?
I know.
Why could he not say I'm from Silent Hill?
Yep.
But this dude is like, I'm a child of the order. I can't do an American / Northern accent, but in his terrible accent, I'm a child of the order. Just weird.
It's just weird.
He was born and raised in Silent Hill and sent to get her. That part. She says that's not possible, but he says that some can leave, but only for a short time, and it requires pain and sacrifice, showing her the symbol cut into his chest. You know what? I just don't. Whatever.
I laugh when I saw it.
Just whatever. Like, really? Really? Obviously, Sharon is pissed, but Vincent claims having met her, he sees that she's not like Alessa and that he cares for her.
Really met her for about fucking like 4 or 5 hours.
He has no idea about her, exactly. He denies having anything to do with the disappearance of her father. There is also some nonsense of the Order being able to project their spirit into the world, which is what Silent Sharon has been seeing. Listen, if you turn the movie off here and just give up, you're more than welcome. I don't blame you, because I'm going to tell you, it ain't going to get any better. No. This is nonsense. It's fucking nonsense. What are they talking about? This part is pure Q&A. Sharon asks questions, he answers. Yep. The desperation to try and fill in blanks in is horrible. She shouts something at him, he answers, is awful. Apparently, new rules are being set up. She has to return of her own free will. Why? Why would you make that a thing?
It makes no sense at all.
Oh my God. And that the Order can't escape until Alessa is dead. But she also can't be killed until she's made whole again. Oh my God. What is happening? Vincent tells her that her dad is still alive and being held in the sanctuary below the town by his mother, Claudia. How does he know this? They've been communicating? They're appealing to him? No, there's no links.
Maybe it's bloody the crystal skull like Donkey Kong.
She goes to leave, but Vincent stops her, telling her she needs the seal and to find the other half, which is being held by his grandfather in the asylum. There we go. Game level stuff.
Yes.
The lights then go out, and the room begins to transform as the darkness arrives. Vincent accuses her of doing this as she is part of Alessa, but I thought she was a nice person. He is then attacked by the bladed creature from the mall, and Sharon is knocked out. She wakes up on the floor of the motel. It's morning and everything is normal. No sign of Vincent though, so she grabs the seal and heads out. Things aren't okay outside though. Nope. It's foggy and ash is falling from the sky. And you know what I noticed? Did you notice it? Why does it look so shit now? The fog, it looks pure CGI.
Yes.
I don't remember it looking that bad in the original.
No, I actually thought, I think we actually praised it. I'm pretty sure we praised it.
Not here. It looks like she's in front of a green screen.
Yes.
It really, really does. She starts walking, finding herself at the sign that welcomes you to Silent Hill. So, you went in Silent Hill? How is it foggy and ashy?
Exactly. So why is it the outside? That's a border. It's a border point.
That's what the town of Silent Hill.
Yes.
Not everywhere.
I know.
When you want. In the town, she walks the deserted streets as we see her being watched from the windows and the church bell rings. And here I just went, what the fuck? This is just the same thing for the... I thought Alessa consumed them all and took them to hell. I thought that was literally the end of the movie.
Nope.
Why are they in this again?
Because she brought it back.
Now, people are going to defend this by saying it's an alternative reality of the hell world that Alessa created.
That's too easy to say.
It's so fucking easy, but also, how is it then the events of Alessa still played out exactly in the same way that we saw?
Yep.
Those events played out. It's annoying. Sharon arrives at the church, which, now I can't confirm this, if this is supposed to be the same one from the original, it is in a completely different place.
I was going to say, it's moved.
So, maybe I'm just going to give it a benefit of doubt. It's a town with more than one church.
Yes.
Right? Seeing some people burnt at the stake, she has a memory of the burning scene at the end of the first film. Which I don't understand why. She has that flashy memory.
I have no idea why either.
A voice then tells her that she shouldn't be here, and Dahlia reveals herself. She just tells Sharon that she'll be used, but Sharon sasses her back. As she knows who she is. And again here, the fucking backgrounds, the green screen is horrendous.
Terrible, yeah.
We then get more flashbacks of how Dahlia was tricked into bringing Alessa to the cult. She continues to talk as we get more flashbacks about the Brrraains. I'm like, don't do that. I've seen it. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah, constant flashbacks.
Dahlia then reveals that Sharon is Alessa's daughter. Yeah, if you're scratching your head at this point, the game also gets this confusing too.
Yep.
Apparently Alessa took the last part of her innocent soul and put it into a newborn orphan child, which is Sharon. Then that's not her daughter.
No.
That's her sister herself.
Yeah.
It's herself.
It's her, exactly, yeah.
More flashbacks as we see Sharon being dropped up at the orphanage. Their conversation mercifully ends with the sound of the siren and the arrival of the darkness. And I was like, so we're back to literally the status quo of the original film.
Yep.
Why does that happen?
I mean, it's annoying because I quite liked it when it turns from like to the darkness.
It looks good.
Because it's good.
Appealing, it's good.
It's really good. But then they fucking ruin it.
I'm also going to say the best visual moments are in the Dark World as well, more than anything else. Sharon runs off as the darkness spreads around her, heading down an alleyway and into an apartment block. Get it? Get it?
Yep.
Lots of creepy shit. Robbie the Rabbit stuff and the birthday cake. Laughter freaks her out and she ends in a room full of mannequin parts. She goes deep in the room that ends up being more of a warehouse of mannequin parts. Of course, a lot of these mannequins look weird, but one in particular seems to be breathing. When she checks on it, its eyes open and she runs off scared. The CGI, fucking terrible. Hearing someone crying, she then comes across a naked woman at a table who slowly transforms into a mannequin. Boobs!
Yep.
She then hears another woman crying and sees her stuck in some sort of web. Sharon tries to free her, disturbing this level's boss, a mannequin spider. Sharon manages to free her and her and the woman run off after it. We then see the spider break the head of the new mannequin, which screams at the screen, 3D, and we see it hold it like it's like its eyes.
Yeah.
The CGI is terrible, but I really like the design idea.
Yes.
It is kind of Silent Hilly, a sort of mannequin that uses the heads as eye. I feel that.
Yes.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
But it looks like shit.
There's a few scenes coming up which I actually quite enjoyed.
Cool.
We'll get to it, yeah.
We will. Heather and a woman briefly talk, and it seems as though this woman came from the outside. Took a wrong turn and got lost in the fog. What? So you could just drive in, take a wrong turn? Which, again, wouldn't be a problem if they were utilising the elements of Silent Hill 2 and later Silent Hill movies. Games.
Yep.
But this one is sticking to Silent Hill 3. This is Heather, Sharon's reality. You don't just get to drop... I'm in it. She never met this woman in her life. They're being hunted by the beastie and find the exit locked. They do see a vent, though, and sneak their way towards it. Alas, the beastie attacks, but can't quite get to them because of the shelves. Heather gets into the vent, but the woman is grabbed and dragged out. Can you believe it? But you know what's funnier? Heather doesn't even even try to save her.
I thought it was funny, literally, it's like she looks back for about 2 seconds and she goes like, oh, okay, and she calls off.
She's just like...
You didn't grab her, pull her, hold her?
Try and save her in the slightest. Yeah, man. Cut to Harry/Chris chained up on a very similar looking statue. He's back in the movie. Don't worry, he doesn't say anything yet. We're then introduced to Claudia, Carrie Ann Moss wearing a pretty bad wig.
Yes.
Who has given Vincent some shit for betraying him. He claims that Heather is an evil and that she says that he's been corrupted by the evil. Vincent then puts the blame on Claudia, claiming that they created the evil. She calls him insane as the crowd demand to be burned. Burn him! Burn him! They're like fucking farmers. Burn the witch! Oh. She then reveals that Christabella was her sister, and I just wrote, sure.
Yep.
Yeah, sure, whatever. And that Vincent succeeded as Sharon is in town. Something Chris overhears. We momentarily get Sean Bean wake up. He wakes up. Well, it's not even that good. He's just sort of tired. Yeah, okay, I'm here. She then decides to send Vincent into the asylum to be cured. Something that Vincent is not very happy about, it turns out. Heather emerges on the street outside the asylum. I was like, how convenient is that? Brilliant. It all looks so cartoony.
Yes.
Like I said at the start, very set-like, and this is a great example of it.
Yeah.
It looks fake as shit. Inside, she hears a recording of her last conversation with her dad and finds an office with a torch and a file of letter. Did you hear that? Did you notice that? When she walks in, there's a recording playing, and it's the phone call from the last conversation with her dad. It's kind of pointless. I don't really get it, but that's what it was. But yeah, she finds a file and lettered. Cell S12 and a key. A sound disturbs her, and when she goes to look, she finds a map that shows where her cell is. It's literally the Silent Hill map.
Yeah.
Yep. What? Did it in the first film anyway, so it's not that clever.
Yeah.
Continuing to move around slowly, she's disturbed by a monstrous inmate, but shoots it in the mouth, killing it. 3D!
Yep.
Heather makes her way to the correct floor very easily. Every so often hearing scary noises. There's a lot of that. What did I hear?
Where'd you get a gun from?
Oh, she took it from when she left.
Oh, was it in the box?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She ends up in a hallway that is a bit fleshy looking. I don't know. It's supposed to look like that. And finds cell S12. She uses the key and opens the door, heading into darkness. Of course, the door locks behind her, and in the room, chains begin to clink. Leonard then runs at her, but he is chained up and can't get close to her. He's blind and suspects that Claudia sent her saying that his daughter has been corrupted by the darkness. Heather asks about her father, saying he's lost on Silent Hill, but Leonard says there are many Silent Hills, and this might not be the right one. I'm okay with that because that is what I want from the films, or from the games. I want that. The problem is this is just saying it without actually doing any of it. That's the problem. It's still tying itself in knots to link up to the first fucking film. He then curses Vincent's name and blames him for betraying him before telling Heather that Vincent is here now and being tortured. She asks him about the seal and he wants to touch it to know. She kind of doesn't want to give it to him, but she agrees, pointing the gun at his head. He reveals to her that it's the seal of Metatron. I thought that was the dumbest name ever. Metatron. I'm pretty sure I blew that place up in Fallout 3.
I mean, Metatron, to me, he's an archangel, isn't he?
It is true. That's true, exactly what it is. But when I hear it, I'll start thinking of Transformers.
Yeah.
Stolen from him by Rose. Somehow Rose stole it from him?
Yeah.
Okay. So does that mean Rose is in this reality?
Yeah, well.
Okay. Without it, they can't summon a god. Sure. It's a key that will unlock the true nature of things. What the fuck does that even mean? What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? So if the true nature of you is evil, it'll make you evil. If your true nature is like, how is that good of a? It's not that good of a reward. You know, like a good example is he uses it on himself and it transforms into a bit of a hulking beast. Is that it?
This entire scene is him.
Yeah, well, this isn't the best acting for what's his name at all, is it? He then reveals that she has found the other half. You found the other half. About Malcolm McDowell, as it's inside him. He then pushes the half she gave him into his chest and his sight returns. I was like, this film's fucking nonsense. This is fucking nonsense. Seeing her, he accuses her of being a demon and grabs her by the throat, but she shoots him. In the dark, he laughs and begins to transform. He breaks his chains, revealing that basically he's bulked up and looks really shit.
Yes.
It's like a really bad Resident Evil cartoony transformation. She shoots him a few times, but he knocks her over. He then kicks down the door, carrying her over his shoulder. As he's carrying her away, she wakes up, and as he walks down the hallway, he sees the completed seal inside him from where she shot him. So she reaches in, removes it, causing bulky Leonard, as I called him, to drop and collapse in pain. He then disappears in the dust as Heather looks at the completed seal. And I was like, wow, that was easy.
I know.
That's it.
I'm going to be really picky here too, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure like a 9mm handgun only carries like 15 bullets, and she hasn't got any spare clips. So how many times did she fire a gun?
Well, we could argue then even more. She apparently creates a massive enough hole that was powerful enough to create a hole, but did not damage the seal that's sitting in the way. Well,
and she can apparently fire a gun too with no problems at all. With no training.
Well, she's American.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're Americans. They shoot every day. Yeah. But noises from the hallway stop her, and she gets up and moves on. She seems to start communicating with Alessa, though, but she's then grabbed by some random inmates that are in cells. I don't know, they all appear and start trying to grab her. Yep. Pyramid Head then arrives and starts cutting through the arms of the inmates.
I thought it was quite funny.
That was weird.
It's weird. It makes no sense to me. I thought it was quite funny. Like, literally, the guy screams as his arms get cut off.
Yeah, what made me laugh as well is the ones at the end are like, oh, I'll take my arm.
I don't know,
but they still don't.
Crazy, I'm guessing.
Heather hides in a little nook as he passes by, finding herself in a different corridor. She hides, seeing some men with Vincent strapped in their bed pass by. How convenient is that? You can kind of see she's thinking about helping him though, as we then cut to an operating room that is filled with nurses. Silent Hill time. However, I have a real problem with these nurses. They have been super sexualized to a point that it's almost laughable. And they're standing in awkward positions. I think it must have been quite difficult to hold.
Yes.
But yeah, super sexualized. Bras are pushed up to the fucking, the boobs are under their necks. The skirts are really short. And when they move, do they make some very odd noises.
This is the scene I actually quite like. Only because the fact that I think the nurses are quite freaky.
I like it because it's one of the few times where it felt that there was stakes and something could actually happen. It felt tense.
But even in the game, the nurses always freak me out by the way they moved. They moved.
Of course. Yeah, but they didn't move like that in the first game. People forget that. They were just... They had these things in their back and they ran and attacked you. That's from a later kind of thing. I think the film might have adopted more than anything else, and then the game's adopted it later. But yeah, Vincent is rolled in and the noise immediately brings him to life. We see that they have messed up faces. I don't get this. These nurses have the same sort of weird faces that all the others are. Bandages work better. Because then you just don't know and you just think about damage and stuff like that. The two men that brought Vincent in use shock sticks to hold the nurses back. 3D! But end up dead. These guys were idiots.
Pathetic, man. So I was like, when the first guy gets stabbed, the other guy literally walks over. He's like, "Are you okay?" He got stabbed in the eye, and then he gets like, "What are you doing?" It's the roundabout.
But you knew what you were bringing him into. What was the point? Presumably the point was you were going to bring him in there and then just leave him, so they had to stay there quietly.
Yes.
Yeah. Roll him in and then walk away.
Yes.
Why did you go in too, making that much noise? You knew what was in there.
Yeah, because obviously these creatures are activated by sound.
Yeah.
And they're both making so much fucking noise.
Hey, Dad! Do you want to go get a beer after this? Let's just roll him in. You know what I mean? It's just fucking stupid. Anyway, yeah, one of them gets a knife in the eye. POV for 3D! The fucking sex noises the nurses are making. It was too much for me. It was just, It's so you're not even being coy. You're just being a twat as far as I'm concerned. It's weird because they're monsters. And you've decided to try and hypersexualize them. And it's fine. You can make them look a bit sexy. The first one certainly did.
Yeah.
But you've gone one step too far here. With those men dead, the nurses then freeze. And Vincent's like, shoot. This is where it gets good.
Yeah.
He starts to try and get out of his straps. But every noise makes the nurses sort of turn towards him. This is good.
Yep.
In a better movie, it'd be really good.
Really good, yeah.
We don't see that Heather has sneaked in, but she demands to know where her father is. And he tells her father is in the sanctuary below the amusement park. You said below the town! The amusement park would be outside the town.
Yep.
You're lying!
I changed it.
She then agrees to free him, but they're making a lot of noise and the nurses attack. But they're able to escape though. It is cool because he's still stuck on one strap.
Yeah.
It falls to its side. And the last sort of scene when they run out and the nurses freeze over it. That's cool.
Yeah, like I said, this is my scene from the film. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is different is in the original film, it was light as well as sound. She uses a light to do it.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Anyway, together they leave the asylum, seeing Claudia's troops arrive. Vincent says the darkness should have passed by now and that her being there is prolonging it as the two halves of the lesser come together. Whatever. We're almost there. They arrive at the amusement park and once again Vincent tries to talk her out of going inside, but she insists. And we see they've been followed by goons. Inside, everything then lights up because now I realise, I remember what I thought at this point. This is a fucking Goosebumps episode at times. It's a episode of Goosebumps, man.
Every
lights up, isn't it scary when things turn on? Idiots. As they move through, Vincent sees the goons and forces Heather to hide. Apparently, the dudes... gas masks, the ones that wear gas masks are the most devout members of the order called the Brethren. They wear the mask so they don't have to breathe the air of the darkness as they believe it corrupts. Why do I need this? What is this? Also, why bringing this up, Vincent, you have made a real problem. If they're so devout, why would they then follow someone who breathes it in and isn't wearing the gas mask? Wouldn't they think that person was corrupted?
Yep.
Also, that then suggests the order has ranks of belief. So we have, I'm the most devout. Can I be a person that's, I kind of believe it, you know?
Yep.
Listen, I'll come to the meetings but I'm not staying for the steak burnings.
Yep.
Like, I gotta go home, I'm gonna get my shit together, you know. Also, meetings can't go past 11. I got work tomorrow. Like, different, you know what I mean? Different levels of belief.
Exactly.
You know, listen, I'm fine with burning outsiders, but I draw the line at burning girls.
Yep.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking stupid.
It's ridiculous.
But the joke is, they didn't even have to mention this.
Nope.
Why would you do this?
To avoid the entire part.
Just by not mentioning it. Vincent then says goodbye to Heather, kisses her because, hey, nothing like kissing someone unprompted to make you look like a real stand-up guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't be your hero, baby. Because he plays decoy. Hiding behind the stall, Heather realises that this is now her dream. She sees the carousel and is going to make a run for it when a brethren confronts her. She rips his mask off and his belief seems to mean he starts to choke on the air. Oh, couldn't give a shit.
Yep.
She starts to run. Well,
Buzz Lightyear at the moment.
it is, yeah. I'm fine, actually. I'm fine, yeah. Hiding behind this... she starts to run and others give chase. And I was like, well, you did a good job as a decoy there, Vincent.
It's like 3 with them.
And the rest... Heather makes it to the carousel. We're almost there, folks. And as the rest of Heather's dream begins to play out, the arrival of Alessa and the fire, except this time, she's young. Alessa arrives young. Also, I do at least appreciate they sped it all up. So we didn't have to redo it. In front of Heather, she transforms into goth Heather and calls the non-goth one daughter, sister, self. I don't know. Heather and Alessa, Sharon and Alessa then have a conversation about who they are. And the carousel starts to descend to hell. Should point out that Pyramid Head's just...
I've always fucking hilarious.
Just chilling out like that. Yeah, boy, woo! It's fucking dumb. This film's so dumb. Alessa wants to take back the part of her that she let go. But Heather embraces her. She hugs her. They seem to fight between love and hate, but Heather wins out and absorbs Alessa. And the flames subside as the carousel arrives at the bottom and Pyramid Head just sort of stops.
I say no when they're like hugging each other, like pushing each other's heads to each other. My instant thought was like, this is bloody Harry Potter and Voldemort. Like, at the end of it, where they're both like matched together. It was just so ridiculous.
It's any fucking film where that's happened, where they merged together. Hellraiser did it.
Yeah,
fucking Hellraiser did it. Hellraiser fucking did it. And that's what it is. But, you know, because Heather / Sharon embraced Alessa, embraced that side of her, she absorbed it, and now she
won.
She won, I guess.
So won the fight, yeah.
But does that mean she's got... I don't know. Who cares? Because we are here. Sharon gets up, finds herself in the sanctuary. She moves further into it, coming to an eventual big room where Claudia awaits and Harry is chained up. Also, Vincent is here. Just throw that in.
Yep.
How?
Because he got captured, apparently.
Yeah. Heather tries to end the film quickly here by asking what Claudia wants. But alas, Claudia wants some screen time. She has to earn that money and starts to talk about the sanctuary. And I was like, no! She asked you what you want. You turn around and go, I want the seal of Metatron. And then we move to the end game. Instead, she goes, this sanctuary, no! No! No!
She's got to explain her motives first.
I don't want it. It's Silent Hill. Your motives are, I'm evil.
No.
Claudia then calls her the saviour, seemingly aware that she defeated Alessa. How would she know that? How would she know that? When she touches Heather's face, this seems to enrage Pyramid Head, and the chains now holding him in place snap. Oh, I don't know. I was puzzled.
Yeah, I don't know.
Heather demands that Claudia release Harry, but she refuses, saying his blood will feed the new god that will be born through Heather. You were right. It was blood related. She asked this, why me? I was like, yeah, that is a really good question. And the answer? She was chosen. And I was like, that is not an answer! That doesn't mean anything! God damn it! They will be free when the god is born and be able to cleanse the world. I was like, fuck, this is so shit! How could you screw up Silent Hill this badly? How have you got to this? How has it gone so wrong? Claudia demands that Heather give her the seal so she can summon the god. Heather freely offers it to Claudia, but when she touches it, it reveals her true self, a demonic entity, the bladed demon that has pursued her earlier in the movie. Let's not... What?
Yep.
Why?
No,
how?
Yeah.
What? Also, how has she been able to leave Silent Hill at free will then?
Makes no sense at all.
Unbelievable. Naturally, Claudia's followers are a little shocked.
Yep.
A little shocked by this. And Claudia goes to strike Heather. But, are you ready? Cue the butt rock. You almost want to hear it go, down,
I was waiting for that.
as her blade is stopped by an even bigger blade, as Pyramid enters the scene and the pair start fighting. I don't know. I had mad flashbacks to Resident Evil and Nemesis turning good, and I was like, why? And I was like, you know what? Okay, let's say he serves Alessa in the darkness, and because Alessa is whole now, that's it, right? Right?
Yeah, so she now has the power to control.
No, I don't think she's controlling him. I think his role is to defend his master, and she's his master. Right? Right?
Yeah.
Why not, Damon? Why the fuck not?
That would do.
Heather, though, takes his chance to free Harry as Vincent gets free and helps. I forgot. God, we almost forgot. There's a lot of fire now, because apparently the entire ring that they're fighting on is on fire. Claudia and Pyramid are having a little rock in this sort of arena. Basically, yeah. You know? Pyramid eventually wins, though. He gets stabbed a few times, cutting her head off. 3D! And then he slowly walks off.
Yep.
I was like, cool. Well, that's it.
Yep.
Woo!
No goodbye.
It's over, though. It's over.
Yep.
That's cool. It's not quite, but... Sometime later, they're out in the streets of Silent Hill, and Vincent remarks that the ash is stopping. It looks like things are going to be good. The order has failed, and Alessa is gone. Harry gets cheered by saying another will come, and it's still a place of lost souls. Cheers for that.
Yeah, cheers,
I was Vincent, I'd be like, you dick.
I know.
I'm trying to bring the mood up, mate. He stops, revealing that he can't leave because he wants to find Rose. Heather wants to stay with him, but he says that it's his task and that she is free. She seems to understand, and they say their goodbyes. Vincent tells him that... Harry tells Vincent to look after her, but he says she doesn't need him for that. Fucking film. Harry then walks into the fog and disappears. And you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm going to make up my own shit here. I'm going to make up my own shit. He was dead all along. Not all along. All the way back to the first film. He never existed. It's all been mad dreams.
On her head, yeah?
Yep. In fact,
I'll go with that.
In fact, Sean Bean doesn't exist. We all just imagine him. Why the fuck not?
If I'm Sharon or Heather and Vincent, I'd be saying, hang on a fucking second. We came all this fucking way to save you, and now you want to fucking stay? Are you prick?
It's too much for Sharon to kind of just go, okay then.
I know. It's like well, hang on, Dad.
Yeah, like
Demon
just be a bit more emotional. But she's just kind of like, I understand.
Yeah, literally. There's no emotion.
See you later, buddy. You know, that kind of thing. Anyway, Heather and Vincent leave, apparently able to just walk out of this reality.
Yep.
They hitchhike in a truck, and this is where we go. So, do you know that the end of this game references 2 Silent Hill games in one?
No, I didn't.
That's why I said I'd come back to this. They hitchhike in a truck, and it turns out it belongs to Travis Grady. So you wonder, why would I give this guy a name when he's in one scene, he's a trucker that just drives through and they get in? Because Travis Grady is the star of a Silent Hill game that I don't think you played. And I haven't played, but I've watched gameplay videos of. It's called Silent Hill Origins. It was on the PlayStation 2. Yep. He's the star of that game. So there you go. That's it.
I did find it a bit weird how a trucker suddenly stops and then gets in and there's like, hi, I'm Travis Grady. It's like no one does that in
because
real life.
it's purely a game reference.
Yeah,
exactly right. It's unnatural.
Yeah.
It's unnatural. Heather introduces herself as Sharon and tells them to take them as far away from this place as possible. We see the leaving Silent Hill sign. We're not done now. This we got. You knew this, yeah? Coming the other way, a convoy of police cars. And what's this? A prison bus. Oh, are you referencing a game called Downpour? Silent Hill Downpour, and the film ends as we see fog and ash enveloping the Welcome to Silent Hill sign.
Yep.
It didn't deserve those endings.
Nope.
And that's it. That is Silent Hill Revelation. A shocker of a movie. A shocker of a movie because it starts to play around or wants to play around with the idea of the alternative realities that exist for each individual person.
Yep.
The problem is it doesn't go all the way. What it's suggesting is alternative realities no matter what.
Yes.
Not based around the person's internal conflicts, issues and demonic mindsets and aspects like that. That is not going to work then. Nope. But it also implies anybody can enter your reality. It doesn't work in any sense. Ignoring that part of it, it fucks up the lore of the original by confusing itself about the Alessa stuff. Brings in new characters that didn't even exist or even get mentioned in the original. It doesn't have a good set of characters.
Nope.
Characters like Vincent completely changed and irrelevant in this movie. Take Vincent out of this. Aside from what he's involved in at the start of the movie, what use is he? Take Harry, Sean Bean, Chris out. What difference does it make?
Just a reference to the game, that's it.
That's it. Makes nothing.
Absolutely.
There's no... Going back to him, there's no good reason why he couldn't have been killed off. There's no good reason. All you simply do is change the whole... Blood, I'm not gonna... You could turn around and say, I'm gonna feed fucking after Vincent betrayed you. His blood is gonna be fed.
He must have had an agreed screen time or something.
I don't think so. I don't think so. There's no good reason for that. I think it's just shit script writing.
Did you watch the end credits?
Was there an after credit scene?
Yeah.
No! Yeah. I missed it.
Yeah, Sharon and Vincent had a baby and got married.
You're lying.
I'm joking.
You're lying.
I'm joking.
I was going to say, good God.
Happy ending, of course, obviously, because they both rolled off in the sun together.
Well, yeah, kind of, but, you know, like, by sticking with Silent Hill, I mean, I don't mind the idea of that bus coming in and stuff like that, because that shows you there's a new reality created there.
Yeah, of course.
The problem is that it's too confusing. Like, that's the biggest problem. It's so confusing, and Silent Hill itself is a confusing franchise, but this is so mixed up into what it wants to be. You know what? It really didn't... I almost wish they just told a completely separate Silent Hill story that was almost unrelated to the original.
Yeah, literally a standalone one,
Yeah, and you could have used elements from this film in that easily, and it would have worked. But by trying to connect up to the first film, while also trying to connect it into the game, who comes away happy here? You know, we say that all the time when we do these reviews. Who are you trying to make happy? And here I feel like you make no one happy. Nobody if you've never played Silent Hill in your life, you are not going to enjoy this.
If it's your first introduction to Silent Hill, you're going to think, my God, those games are shit.
You know, I don't even think you're going to matter about the games. I think you're going to think the whole thing is nonsense. Nonsense. Order of Valtier. Seal of Metatron. The talking. All everybody does is talk.
I mean, let's face it. The first one was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay.
I would say it's a good movie.
Okay, it's above average.
In my opinion,
above average.
If you think it's okay, that's fine. It's your opinion. But in my opinion,
okay, above average.
Yeah.
And then they make this sequel or whatever, and then it is completely shit. But somehow
it's terrible.
It makes 500 million.
56, dude. 56.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
500 million. 56 on a 20 million pound budget.
Oh, yeah, yes.
So made... Was that
36?
Yeah.
So it makes somehow.
Wait, was it that much? I've forgotten. I'm going to go back and check it now. Got to find a paper. What have I done with a bit of paper? I'll get it. So many bits of paper for this film. I've somehow misplaced it's because it's the one that's separate. 56 million on a 20 million budget. Yeah, I said it was 3 times as much, but no, it's not. It was almost double. Yeah, so 36 million. Which isn't that much, I'd imagine, for the studio. But it's still profit. You didn't lose money.
No, exactly. It's profit, yeah.
But you don't deserve that much.
No.
You don't deserve that much at all. Listen, I hate this movie. I really, really hate this movie. I find it to have almost no redeeming features. Nope. Nothing that works for me. Nothing excites me. The moments where we're kind of like, well, that's not too bad. The problem is you're talking about small sections.
Like I said, for me, I had one scene which I enjoyed, which is the bit where he's tied down in a chair with the nurses.
But 96 minutes long for 2 minutes. Fucking hell.
As soon as I saw the match, I thought, oh God, here we go.
I think one of the most egregious things you could... Right, basically this. You know, we recommend. Let's recommend this. Early on in this talk through, we talked about the insane first couple of minutes and how batshit stupid it was as it goes hell for leather, dropping all levels of subtlety. Yep. If you've not seen it, go watch the first 3 minutes. If you like what you see, carry on.
Yep.
If you're like us and you're like, the fucking hell, then you already know we're right. Right? Yeah. That makes sense. Watch those first 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those 3 minutes could have been cut out, and it could have started off with her in the home, or just waking up from a dream. So just start from there. And
let's use that part later at the end of the movie instead of replaying it, but fast forwarding it effectively. Bad movie. That is Silent Hill Revelation, a true horror for this Halloween season. You got any thoughts? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?